Hi, this is Stan. Welcome back. It's been a while since I've done an update here on my Erie Lackawanna HO switching layout. It's a small shelf layout, and its main purpose is to give me some things to tinker with now and then. So, all in good fun. Well, I had to repair some track. I had a bad joint. Got a new camera. Played around with a homemade version of the static grass applicator and some other things. So I'll stop yakking. We'll do a little rail fanning here for a second, and then we'll get right to business. Okay, here we go. I got all of the manual turnouts done, the remote control. That was a bit of a job. Glad that's done, but it's really handy. And I got all my rolling stock tweaked and set up for the KD couplers with the magnetic coupling and uncoupling. Did a couple of videos on that a while ago. And one of my favorite tasks, but it has to be done every once in a while, I go through and update all of the car cards for each of the active pieces of rolling stock that I have. Don't have a lot, but there's enough there to make it a chore, and I'm always glad when it's done. But then I don't have to fiddle with it after that until the next update. Okay, well, I had this nasty piece of flexi-track underneath a little mountain on the curve that had to be fixed, and I decided to replace it with that piece of fixed radius track. And fortunately, the little hill comes off so I can get at the track. It's a lesson in, you do something and it's not 100% of what you want, but you keep going forward, and you should stop and fix it and take care of things right then, but you don't. And so it's just trouble later. So always make sure that if something doesn't feel right or look right, stop and fix it right then. You'll be glad you did. No more derailments there. Works nice now. Oh yeah, and there's Sasquatch. So my daughter got me that for, I think, Christmas one year, and when she's over to the house, she will occasionally move him around to different places on the layout for me to discover. And there's my old faithful Sony camera. I love that little guy. Fits in my pocket. He's kind of dinged up there. You can see it's been dropped and run over. I needed to add another camera before that one gave out, so I got this Sony Handycam. I'm happy with the Sony system, so I decided to stay with that. It's got a wonderful zoom and a Zeiss lens, very lightweight, and it gets in really close, which my other camera does not do. So this is my gizmo for doing the static grass. Instead of buying the expensive one, I just got one of these mosquito killing bug zapper. Looks like a little miniature tennis racket, and you take the tennis racket part off and wire up a little strainer, and this wire is kind of like a ground, and that goes into the wet area on the layout, and a couple of AA batteries go in here. And so basically you've got sort of a static completion. If you connect these two, it'll spark. Hit the on button and then give it a little shake, and then energize by moving it around. Basically it's under $10, so it's pretty cheap, but it was worth the experiment for me. And this is literally going to be like watching grass grow. Maybe I should speed it up by 16 times. Got a little mixture of water and white glue, and I have to slobber it on where I'm going to add the static grass. If you're not a modeler, I don't know why you're watching this, but if you're not a modeler, static grass is a little fiber that when you put a little bit of static charge on it, when you apply it, it doesn't fall over and just lay there on the ground. It actually stands up, and when the glue sets, the fibers are stuck in that vertical position. That's the theory anyway. One thing, since I've converted over to dead rail or battery power, I don't have as many phobias about doing landscaping around my finished track. If something gets dirty, I just wipe it off, and I don't stress about it like I did when I depended on the DCC for my locomotives. Okay, here I am wiggling some of the grass. So you dump the grass in the little bin there, the little strainer, and you can see I've got the wire plugged in on the ground into the wet glue. And after you apply it, you shake it and tap it, then you go back over and get that metal screen really close to the ground so that the static charge, you're almost completing the circuit. The static charge will stand the little fibers up, and hopefully they will set that way once the glue dries. So tappity tap, shaky shake, and then wipey wipe. Smear it around. Can you see how it's kind of like rubbing a balloon with cat fur? I suppose I should be playing you some background music here. Then you get all the areas done that you want to, and now you need to do a little bit of cleanup. Kind of cool, you can see the little red on light. That poor tree is getting kind of mangled. And then you have to go back and get that thing down close to the deck so that you really, there it is. Can you see how you're dragging and standing up those fibers with the static charge? Time to get out the vacuum and do a little cleanup. And then for a little more detail, I clipped some fibers off an old paintbrush and stood them up in some glue and then trimmed them to final height. And like many projects, a slight movement of the hand causes a terrible disaster, but a little bit of CA and everything's back to normal. Just a little bit of subtle landscaping detail. Well, this is getting long. I better go. But thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it if you have the time to leave a comment or maybe even a link to a project that you're working on. I try to answer all of the comments, and I really enjoy hearing from folks. I think the model railroad community is a very active and a fun one. So that's all for now. Until next time, thanks so much for watching. I'm Stan, and I'll see you next time.